Welcome back to the verdict. Just taking a look at where we left it off in terms of the challenge. And Mr. Vincent, you say something needs to be done in order for us to move forward appropriately. Where do we start?
Like we said, first, the law has to be changed. Secondly,
but the law is there already for electoral offenders.
Yeah, probably someone was advocating that we should probably have electoral offences tribunal or probably special court for that purpose, whereby we can take it that now if you do an infraction, there's a process that would ensure that
Mr. Vincent, the laws that we have now, are they insufficient to deal with the issues that are on ground now?
Mr. Makinde,
we have, just as we have said, there are faces of people. In the Okota 2 weeks ago, there are faces. The one in Imo, there are faces.
The one of 2015, there was a face.
So, the one previously before that, there were faces. The laws are clear about that. That's one. Secondly, in this election, or for this election, the police have a special election investigation team, and there are policemen at each of these the places. So, do we need to change the laws to deal with these ones that are obvious?
I agree with you. It's a sad commentary on all the process. I agree with you that probably we should look more at the fact that the laws are available. Can we even exploit it to see how we can clean up the process? Now, because that is taking me to the second issue about even the people themselves. The
law enforcement agencies?
The law enforcement agencies, the people, actually, the polity, the people that are using this law, the electorate, and I think also the culture. You know, I was just sharing with my friend because as a young person, I remember even in 1999 election, 1993 election. If you remember the saga of Sunday, they will see the IGP of election and using APCs flushing water on people. You can imagine.
Not APC political party.
Using armored personnel carriers and things like that. And you could see how the impunity had continued over time. So I think at the point in time, the laws were there, even at that time. That was whoever was the political the head of Nedeco there, or Fedeco, whatever, at that point in time. The laws were there, but just that we're not using it. So the people also have to engage themselves in a thinking process about why do we have to go through this process? Why do we have to make a mockery of ourselves among the Committee of Nations?
What will it take to use these laws or to implement those laws, since you say that they've been there in existence, not just today?
Good. The willpower.
Good.
The willpower. And then also the cultural reorientation.
Is there a willpower?
There's none.
So if there's no willpower, there are laws and we cannot implement them. Where does that take us
It's a lawless country then. That's why, in quotes.
But Mr. Gwande, look, I know we need voters' awareness, but do we need security awareness in this case now?
We need everything.
For them to be for security agencies who know the law.
Look, I can go out now. My own, just as you said, the voters' awareness. I can go now and see a policeman and now start harassing him.
No.
The next thing is that he will turn the gun at me. But the head of the security agency, the laws are there. All they need to do is to trigger them, give them instruction, because once in a while we go engage them, when they are going out for such civil duties, they give them briefing. And the issue is that, and if you know what we are talking about, particularly during this Saturday's election, those of us who were moving up and down, we ran into some of them blocking the road. They were civil. Very civil, unlike before, that they were very harsh. That's training. Then you take it further, that nobody is above the law. Anybody who commits an infraction, arrest him, bring him here. Anybody, if he wants to do one shaka, just get the person arrested. And once they see people that being done, but you see when somebody comes now, he's a big man, you salute him, I know you very. I guess it was in this studio that the governor, this Ganduje, was saying that he saw some military people, they passed by him, they did not greet him, he did not greet them. Is it this studio that we are together? Something. But when some people are above the law, some people are sacred cows, this is what we'll continue to see. Yes. And what I'm saying is that there must be the political will. That instructions will be there that nobody is above the law. Because we, the civil people, we can't do anything. You can't go and tell the policeman that, look, that man, arrest him. You don't know what has happened between between these parties. But there's what they call dereliction of duty. Right? And in law, we call it mandamus, but again, in the local palace, we call it dereliction of duty.
So
you see somebody commit an infraction.
Those policemen who were standing there,
yes,
can they be charged for dereliction of duty?
That's dereliction of duty because they ought to have arrested. You're a policeman, you do everything. That's the power you have. You have that awesome power that you see anybody committing an infraction, immediately you arrest him. If there are more than 4, if it's just one that they could handle. You see policemen in Europe now, they are in a dispersing crowd, they will ensure that they get one. So if others are beating them, stoning them, and
because
so on,
the law says whoever is caught,
not everyone.
It didn't say everyone caught.
Yes.
So they focus on one person, their eyes is on that person, they get him, and they use him as a scapegoat or the escape elephant. Then others will know that next time I'm involved. I told you I've been involved in a looter. When we see the police, we know how to do it. So the Yoruba will say it is the person who is not that smart that will be victim of those of us who are smart. You see some onlookers, they want to show that they too, they're in the riot, they are in front, they are the front.
It's very instructive. It's very instructive what Ida said in our Abuja office. She said that it does seem to appear that there is a cahoot between the security agencies at the polling units and some of the political parties, which I think is very instructive and something we should look
Always.
at. If we have to go that route and try to see how much we can dig out of that, if a policeman is to man the polling unit or even the collation center, and he doesn't have a weapon, he doesn't have a gun on him,
and he's the only one.
And he's the only one, even if there are 2, because you've got so many agents there that could overpower them at any point, which seems to be what happened in Imo State. But they are just so ill-equipped. I didn't see any of them with a handcuff. Does that bring some level of concern to you on the true intention of having those policemen there?
I'm sorry to jump in. I'm talking from experience, and I'm sure you too. Okay. You are just playing the devil's advocate here. That sensitive place, if those few ones are unarmed, there are a dozen of them outside that place that are armed.
Okay,